Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Welcome back in the chemistry lecture of 11th science. Last time we have seen that whenever the charged particle is moved with an acceleration, it emit electric and magnetic field, and togetherly it is called as electromagnetic radiation or electromagnetic waves. So in the year 1900, Max Planck explains about the dual nature of the electromagnetic radiation, as the electromagnetic radiation has a wave nature, and in 1900 Max Planck has explained about the particle nature of electromagnetic wave. Maxwell put forth his theory as a quantum theory to explain the black body radiation. Black body radiation is nothing but any body which is coated with a black paint or black carbon suit. It absorbs the energy and it emits the radiation. It absorbs the sun's radiation, and again when it becomes heated, then it emits an energy. So that means that the energy which is coming from the sunlight, it is in the form of the packet. In the other word, we can say that quantum. Small quantity of energy is termed as quantum. That quantum of energy is again emitted by a black body, is said to be as an black body radiation. And Planck says that the energy E, energy of one quantum. I repeat again, what is a quantum? Quantum is nothing but a smallest quantity of energy that can be emitted or absorbed in the form of electromagnetic radiation. I repeat again, according to the Planck, he says that the smallest quantity of energy that can be emitted or absorbed in the form of electromagnetic radiation is said to be as a quantum. And Planck says that the energy of one quantum is directly proportional to the frequency of radiation. Frequency of radiation means what? In 1 second, the number of waves arriving at a point is said to be as a frequency. I repeat again, what is frequency? The number of wave arriving at a point in 1 second is called frequency. So he says that energy is directly proportional to the frequency. E is equal to h nu. Then he has given the value for Planck constant, that is 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. Now Albert Einstein, after 5 years, Albert Einstein explained about the photoelectric effect using the Planck quantum theory. Much of the part has not been given in our new syllabus textbook. Very 4 to 5 line has been given. Try to understand what does the Albert Einstein has explained about the photoelectric effect using the theory of Planck, that is energy is equal to h nu. Energy is equal to h nu. Nu is the frequency of light, h is a Planck constant, energy. Now let's see what is photoelectric effect. Photoelectric effect is nothing but, Albert Einstein says that whenever a radiation of suitable frequency is fall on a metal surface, an electron is ejected. This is a light striking to the metal surface. This metal surface, whenever the light is falling on a metal surface of suitable frequency, the energy of the light is absorbed by the metal surface and it start to emit electron. Ejection of electron from the metal surface is said to be the photoelectric effect. Photo means light, and in presence of light, the electron is ejected. That is why it is called photoelectron, and the process is called photoelectric effect. Now this experiment, it is not given in the new syllabus textbook. Again, this part in detail you will study in the 12th physics, that is dual nature of matter. Albert Einstein has used the Planck quantum theory that is Planck theory is nothing but E is equal to h nu. E is equal to h nu. So Albert Einstein said that whenever a suitable frequency radiation, whenever radiation of suitable frequency falls on a metal surface, it ejects an electron. So the electromagnetic radiation has a stream of photon of energy. That means he says that whenever a sunlight or any suitable light falls on a metal surface, it has certain amount of energy. That energy is nothing but h nu. He has used the Planck quantum theory, and h nu is used in two part. H nu, that means the energy of the electromagnetic radiation is used in the two part. The one which is used to free the electron from the surface, and second, the kinetic energy of the electron. That means electron is running from the metal surface. I repeat again, when the sun's radiation falls on a metal surface, it is in the form of h nu. And this h nu energy is used in the two ways. The one way is to free the electron from the metal surface. The energy is used in order to free the electron in the metal surface from the metal surface, and the rest of the energy is used as a kinetic energy of the electron to run, to eject from the metal surface. Albert Einstein has said that a photon, that means light, h nu, has zero rest mass. Means whenever a photon is at rest, the mass will be zero. But it does not happen always. Photon is moving as a sunlight falls on a metal surface. That means the energy of photon is ejected from the sun to the metal surface. So always it will has a mass. E is equal to h nu. The rest part you will study this part in the 12th standard. Now we will see Bohr atomic model, that is Bohr's model of an atom. Now Niels Bohr in 1913, he came to give the theory for the stable atomic structure. Before Bohr, Rutherford has tried to explain about the atomic model, but he was unsuccessful to explain the theory of atom. So Niels Bohr has given certain postulates which are suitable for the stability of atom, but there was a certain drawbacks of the Bohr also. We will see what are the drawbacks and what are the postulates, and then we will see whether the Bohr theory was suitable for an structure. Now we will see whether the Bohr theory was suitable for the atomic structure or not. Let's go ahead to see the postulates of the Bohr atomic theory. Now the first postulate, what he says, that electron revolve around the nucleus with a definite velocity in a circular path of the fixed radius. Previously Rutherford was saying that the electron revolve in the spiral path and ultimately the electron fall into the nucleus. That was causes instability in the atom. But whatever Rutherford has said, Bohr has to avoid that sentence. So Bohr says that electron revolve in the circular path in a fixed velocity, in a fixed orbit, and it has a fixed amount of energy. It do not radiate energy when the electron revolve in the fixed orbit. That fixed orbit is said to be as the shell energy level or main shell. That was the first postulate of the Bohr, that electron is revolving with the same velocity and do not emit the energy is fixed, and it do not loses the energy when the electron is revolving around the nucleus. You can see the name of the orbit is given as K, L, M, N, first, second, third, fourth. The electron, this green and the red one, electron revolving around the nucleus, this plus charge is of nucleus. This is the electron which will be revolving around the nucleus. This is the Bohr first orbit where the electron revolves. Now this is the second electron, second orbit, the green one, the outer part is the third orbit, this is fourth orbit, and so on the orbit can be given. The name of the first orbit is given as a K, second L, then M, then N. And N equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 is a natural number. This one electron is present in the hydrogen atom, where he given a theory for the hydrogen atom that the electron revolve in a fixed concentric orbit and the velocity is constant, the velocity is not changing, and the energy is not emitted or absorbed when the electron revolve in a fixed orbit. You can see the structure that the electrons revolving in the other orbit also. We will see it later. Now, Bohr second postulate, what he says that as long as the electron revolve in the same orbit, it remains constant, the energy remains constant. The electron neither emit the energy nor absorb the energy. Hence, this orbit is termed as a stationary. That means at one place. The energy of the electron, third postulate, changes when the electron move from one orbit to the another orbit. Now, what he says that when the electron excite from the first orbit to second orbit, or second to third orbit, or fourth orbit, at that time there will be change in energy takes place. At that time the energy will be getting changed. Now let's see what will be the. Now you try to understand a common sense we will apply. As the nucleus is in center, and after the nucleus we have circular orbit around the nucleus, first orbit, second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit. So in front of the nucleus, that is first orbit and the first electron. So remember carefully, the first electron will have less energy in front of the nucleus. Always the electron which is in front of the nucleus will have very less energy. As the electron which is moving far from the nucleus in the second orbit, third orbit, fourth orbit, the energy goes on increasing, increasing and increasing. So try to remember, try to understand carefully. When the electron excite from, means move from first orbit to the last orbit, the energy is absorbed from the surrounding and the energy increases when the electron excite in the higher orbit. And if the electron from the higher orbit wants to come to the inner orbit, what will happen? It will emit the energy. The energy will be getting lost from the electron, and then the electron will come in the first orbit. So in the other word, I can say that the change in energy takes place on the excitation of electron. That means when electron will jump from higher orbit to the lower orbit, energy is emitted, and the electron when jump from lower energy to the higher orbit, the energy is absorbed, because the electron which is far from the nucleus having more energy, and the electron which is near the nucleus is having less energy. And the energy which is absorbed by the electron from lower orbit to higher orbit is in the form of h nu. And when the electron jump from the lower energy level to the higher energy level, it emit again h nu. This energy is again, it is called as electromagnetic radiation also we can say. See in this way, E1 is the energy at the lower orbit, E2 is the energy of the higher orbit. When it is moving up, it absorb energy. When it is coming down, it don't emit energy. So the difference between the energy, that is E2 minus E1, is nothing but h nu. This is the Bohr's third postulate and is also called as Bohr's frequency rule. Bohr's frequency rule. See the movement of electron. Now the fourth postulate, what does Bohr explaining to us? That when the electron is moving when the electron is moving in a circular path, it moves with a constant velocity. It has a mass, electron has a mass, it moves with a constant velocity, and it has certain distance from the center nucleus to the orbit. So mass into velocity is nothing but momentum, into radius r is nothing but angular momentum. So Bohr's in the fourth postulate says that the angular momentum of revolving electron is quantized, that is integral multiple of h upon 2 pi. Integral multiple of h upon 2 pi means n equal to 1, that is for first orbit. H upon 2 pi, h is a Planck constant and 2 pi is a constant number, has been given by the Bohr. So what is MVR? Momentum, that is angular momentum, is equal to nh upon 2 pi is a Bohr's fourth postulate. Remember carefully. Angular momentum of electron. M is a mass, V is a velocity of electron, R is a radius of orbit, N is a number of orbit, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, N cannot be 0. H is the Planck constant, we know very well. 2 pi radian covered by the electron around the circumference of orbit. That is why it is MVR is equal to 2h upon nh upon 2 pi. N equal to 1. 1 MVR equal to h upon 2 pi. For n equal to 2 and so on for n equal to 3, which are fixed value, hence an angular momentum is quantized.